The massive battleship Thunder's Edge cut through the darkness of space like a knife through cloth. Captain Hantaj stood at the bridge's main viewport, his hands clasped behind his back. The stars stretched endlessly before him, each one holding the promise of new discoveries or new dangers. "Captain, long-range sensors are picking up something interesting," Lieutenant Ji-sun called out from her station. Her fingers moved quickly across the holographic display, bringing up detailed readings. Energy signatures unlike anything we've seen before. Han walked over to her station, his boots making soft sounds on the metal floor. The Thunder's Edge was Earth's pride, a ship built not for show, but for war. Unlike the streamlined designs in science fiction movies, the Thunder's Edge looked like a floating fortress. Its hull was angular and thick, covered in weapon ports and sensor arrays. "Show me," Han ordered, leaning over Ji-sun's shoulder to look at the readings. The display lit up with strange patterns. Powerful energy sources moved in formation, following paths too precise to be natural. Ji-sun zoomed in on the readings, her eyes narrowing as she studied them. "Sir, these patterns suggest artificial sources, ships most likely, but they're using some kind of propulsion system our databases can't identify." Han nodded slowly. After years of space exploration, humanity had finally found proof of advanced alien life. But as the captain of Earth's first military vessel to venture this far into space, he couldn't afford to get excited. His first duty was to his ship and crew. "How many contacts?" he asked. "At least 7 distinct signatures, sir. They appear to be in a standard patrol formation." The bridge crew worked quietly at their stations, but Han could feel their tension. They had trained for this moment, but training was one thing. Reality was another. Chief Engineer Li Bin's voice came over the comm system. "Captain, main reactor is running at optimal levels. All systems are green." There was pride in his voice. The Thunder's Edge might look ugly compared to the ships in movies, but her systems were the best humanity had ever built. "Weapons Officer Park, status report," Han called out. Park Jin's response was immediate. "All weapon systems ready, sir. Point defense grid is active. Missile tubes are loaded but cold, and main guns are on standby." Han smiled slightly. His crew was professional, ready for anything. The Thunder's Edge carried enough firepower to level a small continent, but Han hoped they wouldn't need it. First contact was supposed to be peaceful. "Commander Song, prepare a first contact package," Han ordered. "Standard greetings in all Earth languages, plus math and science basics." Commander Song Min nodded from her communication station. "Already prepared, sir. I can broadcast on all standard frequencies as soon as you give the word." The energy signatures grew stronger on their sensors. Whatever these ships were, they were getting closer. Han made his decision. "Lieutenant Ji, take us in at half speed. Keep our weapons cold but shields at full power." "Commander Song, begin broadcasting the contact package on all frequencies." The massive engines of the Thunder's Edge hummed as the ship moved forward. On the outside, running lights illuminated its dark gray hull, making it look like a metal island floating in space. Weapon ports remained closed, but beneath the surface, targeting computers tracked every movement of the approaching vessels. "Sir," Ji-sun called out suddenly, "the alien ships have changed course. They're moving to intercept us." Han watched as new data appeared on the main screen. The alien vessels were accelerating, spreading out in a pattern that looked worryingly like a combat formation. "Are they receiving our transmission?" he asked Song. "Yes, sir, but no response yet." Han's expression remained calm, but his mind raced through options. The Thunder's Edge was a battleship, Earth's first and finest, but she was also alone, far from home, facing unknown technology. "Keep broadcasting," he ordered. "But G, plot us an escape vector. Park, bring point defense to full readiness, but keep it subtle. Let's not show all our cards just yet." The bridge crew acknowledged his orders with quiet yes sirs. Through the viewport, the first hints of the alien ships became visible, gleaming points of light that grew steadily larger. On his command chair's display, Han pulled up the ship's specifications one more time. The Thunder's Edge might look like a brick compared to the sleek alien ships they were approaching, but she was humanity's best work. Her thick armor, multiple redundant systems, and mix of energy and kinetic weapons made her uniquely dangerous. Han hoped they wouldn't need any of it, but as the alien ships drew closer, he couldn't shake the feeling that this first contact was about to become very interesting. The alien ships were beautiful. They looked like silver arrows streaking through space, their hulls smooth and perfect. Next to them, the Thunder's Edge looked like a floating factory. Captain Han watched as the alien fleet surrounded his ship in a perfect formation. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission," Commander Song announced. "They're broadcasting in several languages. The computer is translating now." The main screen lit up, showing a tall, blue-skinned alien. High Commander Rax wore what looked like a formal uniform, covered in shining metals. His expression was one of clear distaste. "Unidentified vessel." The translation came through clearly. "You have entered Galactic Council space. Your ship design marks you as a primitive species. Power down your engines and prepare to be escorted to a containment facility." The bridge went quiet. Han felt his jaw tighten, but kept his voice calm. "Commander Song, please inform them that we are the Earth ship Thunder's Edge, on a peaceful exploration mission. We welcome diplomatic contact, but will not power down our ship." Song sent the message. The alien commander's response was quick and sharp. "Primitive species must be contained and evaluated before being allowed contact with civilized space. This is standard protocol. Comply immediately." Lieutenant Ji Sun's sensors beeped urgently. "Captain, they're powering up weapon systems. Nothing fired yet, but their energy readings are spiking." Han nodded slowly. "Park, bring our point defense grid online. Keep main weapons cold." He turned to Song. "Send another message. Tell them we mean no harm, but we will defend ourselves if threatened." The alien ships moved closer. Their weapons gave off a soft blue glow that would have been beautiful if it wasn't so threatening. "No response to our message, sir," Song reported. "But they're broadcasting among themselves. The translator is picking up fragments. They're discussing whether to disable our engines by force." Han stood from his chair. "Open a direct channel. I want to speak to their commander face to face." The main screen shifted, showing High Commander Rax again. The alien leader's expression was now openly hostile. "This is your final warning," Rax said. "Power down your primitive vessel, or we will disable it. Your metal box is no match for Council technology." Han met the alien's gaze steadily. "High Commander, we respect the Galactic Council, but we will not submit to containment. The Thunder's Edge is a fully armed Earth battleship. We do not wish conflict, but we will defend ourselves." Rax actually laughed. "A battleship? That crude block of metal? Perhaps a demonstration is needed to show you your place among the stars." The alien ships fired. Beautiful blue energy beams shot toward the Thunder's Edge from multiple directions. But instead of explosions, something unexpected happened. The energy weapons hit the human ship shields and simply disappeared. The shield bubble became visible for a moment, glowing softly as it absorbed the attacks. Chief Engineer Lee's voice came over the comm, sounding pleased. "Shields holding at 97%, Captain. Their energy weapons are actually charging our backup capacitors. We could probably run the coffee makers for a month on this." On the screen, High Commander Rax's confident expression had changed to one of confusion. "Impossible. Your primitive vessel cannot have energy absorption technology. Fire again." More beams struck the Thunder's Edge. The human crew watched calmly as their shield strength actually increased. "Sir," Park reported from his weapons station, "I have targeting solutions on all their weapons arrays. We can disable them without causing serious damage." Han raised an eyebrow at the alien commander on the screen. "High Commander Rax, please cease fire. We have no wish to demonstrate our own weapons, but we will if forced. Arrogant primitives. Rax snarled. All ships, full power, break through their shields. The alien ships fired everything they had. The space around the Thunder's edge lit up like a small sun as energy weapons poured into the shields. And still, the human ship sat there, unharmed. Shields at 112% capacity, Lee reported cheerfully. Should I divert the excess power to the mess hall? We could make better coffee. Han sighed. He had hoped for a peaceful first contact, but sometimes lessons had to be taught the hard way. Park, disable their primary weapon systems. Surgical strikes only. Yes, sir. Targeting solutions locked. Missiles armed with precision warheads only. Han looked at the angry alien commander on the screen. High Commander Rax, this is your final warning. We will demonstrate why Earth ships are built the way they are. I suggest you reconsider your position. The alien ships continued firing, their crews probably wondering why their advanced weapons weren't working. They were about to learn that humanity's primitive technology had some surprises of its own. Launch missiles, Captain Han ordered calmly. Target their main weapon systems only. Park Jin's fingers moved across his control panel. The Thunder's edge shuddered slightly as missile tubes opened along its hull. To the alien ships, it must have looked like the blocky human vessel had suddenly grown teeth. Missiles away, Park announced. 20 seconds to impact. On the main screen, High Commander Rax laughed. Primitive projectile weapons. Our point defense systems will. He stopped talking as he watched his sensors. The human missiles weren't flying straight paths like normal weapons. They twisted and turned, easily avoiding the alien defense fire. Impossible, Rax whispered. How are they avoiding our tracking? Lieutenant G smiled at her station. Sir, their point defense systems are using standard energy tracking. Our missiles' outer shells are absorbing and redirecting the targeting beams. The alien ships tried to dodge, but it was too late. The missiles struck with surgical precision. There were no large explosions, no destroyed ships. Instead, each missile hit exactly where Park had aimed them. The alien vessel's weapon systems sparked and went dark. All targets hit, Park reported. Their main weapons are offline. Minimal structural damage to their ships, no casualties. Commander Song's station lit up. Sir, we're getting signals from all their ships. They're asking if they should abandon their vessels. Han shook his head. Commander Song, please inform them that their life support and engines are untouched. We only disable their weapons. On the main screen, High Commander Rax's blue face had turned almost white. How did you? High Commander, Han said, standing up from his chair. Humanity learned long ago that the most dangerous weapon is one your enemy doesn't understand. Your energy weapons are impressive, but we've spent centuries learning different ways to fight. Chief Engineer Lee's voice came over the comm again. Captain, should I start working on converting their weapon energy into something useful? We could probably power a small city with what they gave our shields. Not now, Lee, Han said, but he was smiling. He turned back to the screen. High Commander, we would be happy to continue our conversation about joining the Galactic Council, but as equals, not as primitives to be contained. Rax seemed to have trouble finding words. Around his ship, the other alien vessels hung in space, their weapon systems smoking slightly from the precise missile strikes. Your weapons, Rax finally said. They weren't just missiles. They adapted to our defenses, changed course in ways that should be impossible. Lieutenant G spoke up. Simple learning algorithms, sir. Each missile watched how their defenses reacted and shared that information with the others. We've had that technology for decades. The bridge crew tried not to smile at the shocked looks on the alien faces. To them, the whole thing probably seemed like magic, but it was just clever human engineering. And your shields, Rax continued. They didn't just block our weapons, they absorbed them. How? Han gestured to the comm. Lee, would you explain to the High Commander how our shield system works? Simple stuff. Really, Lee's voice came through cheerfully. We figured most advanced races would use energy weapons, so we built our shields to catch and store that energy instead of just blocking it. Waste not, want not, right? Rax slumped in his command chair. The council said your ship design was primitive. All angles and exposed weapon ports. No elegance. Form follows function, High Commander, Han replied. We built the Thunder's Edge to fight and survive, not to look pretty. Those angles help deflect energy weapons. Those exposed weapon ports let us fire in any direction. Everything serves a purpose. A new alarm beeped on G's panel. Sir, long-range sensors are picking up more council ships. Much bigger ones this time. Han nodded. High Commander, I suggest we continue this conversation somewhere more comfortable. Your weapons are disabled, but your engines work fine. Shall we head to the nearest council station together? I believe we have much to discuss about humanity's place in the galaxy. Rax looked at his own readings, then back at Han. Finally, he nodded slowly. Perhaps we do. The council will need to hear about this. They will need to know that their assumptions about primitive species need to change. The Thunder's Edge and the alien ships turned together, heading toward council space. Behind them, they left behind not just floating debris and disabled weapons, but also the council's old ideas about what made a species advanced. As they flew, Lee sent one final message to the bridge. Captain, with all that excess energy from their attacks, I really did make better coffee. Anyone want some? The journey to the council station was tense. The Thunder's Edge flew in the middle of the alien fleet, but now it was more of an honor guard than a prison escort. Captain Han watched as more council ships joined them, keeping their distance after hearing what happened to High Commander Rax's fleet. Sir, Lieutenant G reported, the new council ships are scanning us. They seem very interested in our missile bays. Let them look, Han replied. Park, keep our weapons powered down but ready. Lee, how are the shields? Still charged up like a battery on Christmas morning, Captain, Lee answered through the comm. Their energy weapons gave us enough power to run the ship for weeks. Great technology they have, just not used very smartly. Commander Song's station lit up with new signals. Captain, we're getting messages from the council ships. They're requesting information about our weapon systems. Some are offering trade deals. Han smiled. Just hours ago, these same people had called humans primitive. Now they wanted to buy their technology. Tell them all discussions will happen at the council station. The station appeared on their screens, a massive ring-shaped structure that sparkled like a jewel in space. But Han and his crew noticed something interesting. It had no visible weapons or shields. They really don't think about war much, do they? Park said quietly from his station. Different history, Han answered. We built the Thunder's Edge because Earth had centuries of conflict to learn from. They built that station because they never expected to need defenses. As they got closer, small ships swarmed around them like curious fish. The council races were fascinated by the human vessel's design. The Thunder's Edge might be ugly compared to their ships, but now they understood every strange angle and thick plate had a purpose. Message from High Commander Rax, Song announced. He's apologizing, sir, and he's asking our help to improve council defense systems. Before Han could answer, Lieutenant G's sensors went crazy. Captain, new contact. Something big just jumped in. A massive ship appeared near the station. It was 3 times the size of the Thunder's Edge, shaped like a perfect sphere of silver metal. The Council Supreme Commander's vessel. Rax's voice came through the comm. They rarely leave the core worlds. Your demonstration must have caught their attention. The huge ship's scan beams hit the Thunder's Edge. This time, they were much stronger than anything they'd seen before. Sir, Lee called out, these scans are trying to push through our shields. Want me to show them why that's a bad idea? Do it, Han ordered. Lee activated the shield's feedback system. The scan beams bounced back at the sphere ship, carrying all their own data with them. The giant vessel's sensors overloaded instantly, forcing them to shut down. "What did you do to their systems?" Rax asked, amazed. "Gave them a mirror to look into," Lee answered proudly. "Simple trick we learned from dealing with spy satellites back home. If someone tries to peek too hard at our technology, we show them their own." The sphere ship backed away slightly. A new transmission came through, and Song put it on the main screen. The Supreme Commander of the Council Fleet was a tall alien with silver skin who looked both annoyed and impressed. "Earth vessel," they said, "you have demonstrated technology that breaks several of our assumptions about developing races. Your ship should not be possible according to our understanding of technological progression." "Maybe your understanding needs to change," Han suggested politely. "Humanity developed differently than your other contact species. We learned to fight before we learned to truly fly among the stars." The Supreme Commander nodded slowly. "So we see. Your weapons are precise rather than powerful. Your defenses turn attacks into energy. Even your ship's ugly design serves clear purposes. Perhaps we have been too rigid in our thinking." "We're happy to share some of our technology," Han offered. "Especially defensive systems. That station of yours could use better protection." The Supreme Commander looked surprised. "You would share your military technology after we try to contain you?" "Of course," Han replied. "Because humanity learned another lesson from our history. Sometimes the best way to prevent a fight is to help others protect themselves." The Council ships formed up around the Thunder's Edge, but this time as an honor guard. As they approached the station, Han could see thousands of aliens gathered at viewing ports to see the strange human ship. "Commander Song," Han said, "prepare a proper introduction package for the Council. Let's show them that humanity can be both warriors and teachers." "Yes, sir," Song replied. "Should I include Lee's coffee-making breakthrough? He really did make it better with their weapon energy." The bridge crew laughed. Sometimes the best diplomacy came with a sense of humor. Another human trait that seemed to surprise their new allies. The council chamber was huge, with seats rising in circles like a giant bowl. Hundreds of alien representatives from different worlds sat watching as Earth's hastily appointed diplomat, Kei Young, stood at the center. Behind her, displayed on massive screens, was the Thunder's Edge, its dark gray hull standing out against the shining council ships. "Honorable council members," Kei began, her voice clear and strong. "I understand you have questions about humanity's technology, particularly about our warship." A tall alien with crystal-like skin stood up. "Questions? You have broken every rule of technological development we know. Weapon systems before faster than light travel. Defensive shields that absorb energy. These things should be impossible for a young race." Security Chief Kim Du stepped forward next to Kei. Unlike the diplomat in her formal clothes, Kim wore the simple dark uniform of Earth's space fleet. With respect, he said, "Impossible by whose standards?" The chamber erupted in loud discussion. Different alien species argued among themselves. Some pointed at the screens showing the Thunder's Edge. Others waved data tablets showing the ship's capabilities. "Order." The council leader, a wise-looking alien with silver scales, called out. "Let us hear their explanation." Kim nodded to Kei, who brought up new images on the screens. They showed Earth's history, centuries of warfare, but also great achievements. Cities rising from ruins, people helping each other after disasters, scientists working together across old enemy lines. Humanity developed differently than your other member species. Kei explained. "We didn't achieve world peace before reaching for the stars. Instead, we learned to work together while still dealing with our conflicts." "Barbaric," shouted one council member. "Practical," Kim corrected. "Every war taught us new lessons. Every conflict showed us better ways to protect ourselves. We built the Thunder's Edge not because we want war, but because we know how to prevent it." The screen showed the recent encounter with Rax's fleet. Many council members shifted uncomfortably as they watched the human ship disable their vessels without destroying them. "Look at how they fought," Kim continued. "We could have destroyed those ships. Instead, we chose to disable them carefully. That's not barbaric. That's control. That's wisdom learned from centuries of understanding conflict." A blue-skinned scientist stood up. "But your shield technology, it defies our development theories. Energy absorption should come hundreds of years after basic spaceflight." Cass smiled. "On Earth, we have a saying. Necessity is the mother of invention. We needed better defenses, so we made them. We didn't follow your normal order of discovery because we weren't trying to follow any order. We simply solved problems as we found them." The council leader raised a hand for quiet. "And now, what does humanity want from the council?" "Partnership," Kay answered simply. "We offer our knowledge freely. Our defensive technologies could protect council stations and civilian ships. Our precision weapons could help stop pirates without bloodshed. We have much to share." And in return, someone called out. "Knowledge," Kim replied. "Access to council scientific databases, trade rights, cultural exchange. We don't want to rule or dominate. We just want to join the galactic community as equals." The chamber grew quiet as the council leaders stood. They looked at the images of the Thunder's Edge, then at the human representatives. "You develop differently than any species we have encountered," they said slowly. "You built weapons of war yet show remarkable restraint. Your ship looks primitive but contains advanced technology. You offer peace while maintaining strength." Kay and Kim waited as the leader considered their words. "Perhaps," the leader continued, "it is the council that needs to learn from you, not the other way around. We have become complacent, comfortable in our assumptions about how species should develop." The leader turned to address the whole chamber. "The humans have shown us that there is more than one path to the stars. Their technology breaks our rules because they never knew our rules existed, and perhaps that is not a bad thing." Kai stepped forward. "We're ready to help the council understand our technology, and we're eager to learn from you as well. Earth has much to offer, but also much to learn." "Yes," the leader agreed. "But first, I must ask one question that many here are wondering. How did your engineer Lee really make better coffee with our weapon energy?" The chamber filled with laughter, breaking the tension. As Kay explained about Lee's creative use of excess shield power, many council members began taking notes. It seemed that humanity's practical approach to problems, even something as simple as making better coffee, was already having an influence on the galactic community. Dr. Yoon has stood before a group of fascinated alien scientists in the council station's main laboratory. Behind her, a large screen showed detailed images of Earth's history, from ancient battles to modern space launches. "You see," she explained, pointing to the timeline, "humans never stopped competing while we developed. But we learned to compete better, smarter, and with rules." A crystal-bodied alien scientist raised what looked like a hand. "But our studies show that species must achieve unity before reaching the stars. Your path should not have worked." Yoon smiled. "Sometimes the hardest path teaches the best lessons. Watch this." She played a video showing the Thunder's Edge during its construction. Hundreds of workers from different countries worked together, each bringing their own ideas and methods. "We built our ships like we built our civilization," Yoon said, "taking the best ideas from everyone, learning from mistakes, always improving. Even if we disagreed on some things, we agreed on the important ones." Back on the Thunder's Edge, Captain Han was giving a tour to several council military leaders. They had reached the engine room, where Chief Engineer Lee was explaining human technology in his own unique way. "See this power converter?" Lee patted a large machine. "Got the idea from an old Earth video game." Someone said, "That's not realistic." But guess what? Sometimes the unrealistic ideas work best. The alien officers looked confused, but High Commander Rax nodded slowly. "Like your shield design. You saw energy weapons as power sources, not just threats. No one else fought that way. Exactly. Lee grinned. Want to see how we store all that extra power? We use it for everything now. Weapons, life support, and yes, still making excellent coffee. In another part of the station, Security Chief Kim was meeting with Council defense experts. They were reviewing footage of the Thunder's Edge's precise missile strikes. Your weapons, one expert said. They work together, share information. Why didn't you make them more powerful instead? Power isn't always the answer, Kim replied. Earth learned that lesson the hard way. Sometimes the smartest weapon is the one that does just enough, nothing more. He showed them more footage. See how the missiles avoided your defenses. They learned from each other in real time. Shared what worked, what didn't, just like we humans had to learn to share and work together. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Ji-sun was helping Council technicians upgrade their sensor systems. She watched as they struggled to understand human targeting computers. Your systems are more advanced than ours, one technician admitted. But they look messy, unorganized. Ji laughed. They're adaptable. See, each part can work alone or together. If one system fails, the others adjust. We learned that from nature on Earth, the strongest systems are often the most flexible. In the station's Great Hall, Commander Song was teaching Council communication officers about human diplomatic protocols, but they seemed more interested in how humans handled disagreements. You mean you expect people to disagree? One officer asked, shocked. We don't just expect it, we plan for it, Song explained. That's why our ships have both weapons and meeting rooms. Why we train in both fighting and talking. Being ready for conflict doesn't mean you want it. It means you're ready to prevent it. Dr. Yoon finished her presentation with a final image. Earth seen from space, beautiful and blue. This is what taught us our most important lesson, she said. From space, you can't see our borders or our differences. You just see one world that we all share. We learned to work together not because we had to, but because we chose to. The alien scientists were quiet for a moment. Then the crystal-bodied one spoke again. Perhaps the Council's path is not the only path to the stars. There are as many paths as there are species, Yoon agreed. The trick is learning from each one. Back in engineering, Lee was still giving his tour. And this, he said proudly, holding up a steaming cup, is the best coffee in the galaxy, powered by recycled energy weapon fire. Anyone want to try it? The alien officers looked at each other nervously. Then one brave soul stepped forward. After tasting it, their eyes widened in surprise. This is good, they admitted. Perhaps there is much we can learn from Earth's creative approaches. Lee beamed. That's the spirit. Now, who wants to hear about how we turned our waste recycling system into an emergency power source? It's a funny story. Across the station, humans and aliens were learning from each other, breaking down old assumptions and building new understandings. It wasn't always smooth, but then again, nothing worth doing ever was. The Thunder's Edge floated beside the Council station, its dark hull now bearing new markings, official symbols showing it as the first human Council joint operation vessel. Captain Han stood at his familiar spot on the bridge, watching ships from dozens of worlds come and go. Message from Earth, Captain, Commander Song announced from her station. They're sending more ships. 5 vessels, built with the new joint technology. Han nodded. In just 3 months, humans and Council races had created amazing things together. The new ships would have both human practical design and Council elegant technology. Lieutenant Ji, Han called out. How are the new sensor upgrades working? Ji-sun smiled at her console. Better than ever, sir. The Council's long-range scanning combined with our tracking systems, we can spot a space pebble from a light year away. Park Jin spoke up from his weapons station. Sir, you should see what their energy tech did for our missile guidance. Still precise, but now they're twice as fast. The bridge crew had changed too. Among the human officers now sat 2 Council technicians, learning Earth's way of doing things. They had been nervous at first, but now they worked alongside humans like they'd done it forever. "Captain," Lee's voice came through the comm, full of excitement. "The council engineers finally understood my coffee maker design. They're installing them on their ships now. They're calling it the Human Touch." Han laughed. Who would have thought that Lee's coffee obsession would become a symbol of human council cooperation? On the main screen, a new ship appeared. It looked different from anything they'd seen before. Angular like human ships, but smooth like council vessels. The first true joint project. "The Harmony," Commander Song said softly. "First of her kind. Human weapons and shields, council engines and sensors, built by both our peoples." High Commander Rax's face appeared on a side screen. The once proud alien who had called them primitive now wore a smile. "Captain Han," he said warmly, "ready to test the new patrol protocols?" "Ready, High Commander," Han replied. "Though I hope we don't need to demonstrate our weapons this time." "Oh no," Rax laughed. "One lesson was quite enough. Though I must admit, being defeated by your ship led to the best changes the Council has seen in centuries." The Thunder's Edge moved smoothly away from the station, taking its place in the new joint patrol fleet. Human and Council ships flew together, each making up for the other's weaknesses. Lieutenant G's console beeped. "Sir, picking up an unusual signal. Unregistered ships at the edge of the system. Pirates." Rax confirmed. "They think our mixed fleet means we're weak and divided." Han smiled. "Shall we show them how wrong they are, High Commander?" The joint fleet moved as one. The Thunder's Edge led the formation, its proven design still intimidating. But now it wasn't alone. Council ships flew perfect patterns around it, their new shields glowing softly. "All ships reporting ready," Song announced. "The Harmony is asking to take point on this one." "Sir." "Let them," Han said. "Time to see what our peoples can do together." The pirates took one look at the approaching fleet, the mix of human and council technology, the synchronized movements, the confident display of joint power, and flowed without firing a shot. "Well," Park said, checking his weapons display, "that's one way to prevent a fight." "The best victories are the ones where no shots are fired," Han agreed. "Send word to the station. Joint patrol protocols working perfectly." As they turned back toward the station, Han looked at his crew, human and alien working together, learning from each other, making something new and better than either could alone. "Message from Earth Command," Song reported. "They're asking for our crew's input on the next joint ship design. Apparently Lee's coffee maker is a required feature now." The bridge filled with laughter. Even the council technicians had learned to appreciate human humor. "Lieutenant G," Han said, "make a note in the ship's log. Today marks 3 months since first contact. I think it's safe to say humanity has found its place in the stars. And the stars will never be the same," Jai added, looking at their alien colleagues with a smile. The Thunder's Edge sailed through space, its ungainly form now a symbol of something greater than just human engineering. It represented a new way forward, one where different paths to the stars could meet and make the galaxy better for everyone. Even if that improvement sometimes came with really good coffee.